We will make this simple, loose, sort of monochromatic watercolor scene today. The approach will be bold and wet on wet at the beginning, and then we will be adding the details. Hi friends, I am Vanidas Mangathil, and let us learn watercolors together. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe and press the bell notification. And yeah, let us begin the tutorial. Today we are going for a wider format for our work. It is in the landscape format, but it is slightly wider. Okay, so I am wetting the paper for the top 2/3 probably, and because I am planning for a larger sky, and the top 2/3 of the paper I am planning it to be the sky, and I am using a cold pressed watercolor paper, 300 GSM roughly, and the brand that I am using is an Indian brand called Chitrapat, but you can use any cold pressed watercolor paper, preferably 100% cotton. So on the wet area, I have applied wet on wet wash for the sky, and the color that I have used is sort of a cerulean blue and a little bit of purple. Okay, so some of the area I am leaving it as white, so that after the spreading, after the wet on wet spread, some of the paper whites will be seen through with soft edges, which will create an illusion of say soft clouds. Okay, now around the horizon I am applying almost dark purple wash for the horizon, far and foliages, etc., and the below that will be the land portion. Okay, so at this point we have the sky, we have the loose subtle clouds, and we have the far end foliages, and for the land area I am planning to include some shallow water, so we need some reflection. So I am wetting the paper again. Okay, I am doing it with a little bit of care, so that I don't bring down most of those foliages down. And some area I am leaving the paper white just to create some shining or the reflection of the sky, etc., in the water, so it will create some interest. Okay, rather than making it entirely a blue purple kind of a land, I am adding some patches, I am leaving some patches to get some interest. The far end was actually looking dull, so I have added little bit more dark purple color. Okay, and you should also remember that in watercolors things looks dark at the time of painting. When it is wet, the colors may look darker, but when it dries, it will become duller, lighter. So you have to kind of compensate that in advance, and you need to apply darker colors slightly more, so that after drying it will get it lighter, and then you will find the right amount of vibrancy and the tone. Okay, so this is done. The initial wash is done, and we are waiting it to get dried. Once it is fully dry, let us add some elements. Actually, I am planning for some boards, so this is an imaginary one. I haven't actually made any drawing as such. I have a fair idea now, because there is some shallow water on the ground, so some boards will be a good choice. So I'm adding some boards. I'm using a round synthetic round brush. It is the brand is Escoda Prado number 8 brush. For the initial background and the sky, etc., I have used synthetic round brush again from Escoda, and the model was Escoda Ultimo number 14. So we have used 2 brushes so far, Escoda Ultimo number 14 for the major initial washes, and for this board we are using Escoda Prado number 8 brush, and the colors that we have used so far are cerulean blue, purple, violet, and little bit of red. Okay, so which red, which purple and all you can pick. Okay, so if you're finding this as informative and if you're finding some value, please do subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification. If you have any questions or suggestions, please do write them into the comment box below. I'll be happy to respond to your questions, and I will also try to see if your suggestions can be incorporated in the future videos. I may not be able to guarantee that because I have limitations. Some of the things I don't really do, like if you are looking for any portrait tutorials, that is not the thing that I usually do. Okay, so but I'll try to use include your suggestions as much as possible. So now the boat is reasonably reading well, the reflection is okay. See, this is a shallow water, some part of the land is seen and some water is seen, so the reflection will be little smudged. So I'm using my finger also to smudge and suggest the reflection. Okay, so I think the main boat, the reflection and the shape of the boat is okay. Let us add some additional elements. Okay, we need a number of elements to get it, to make the scene little busy. Okay, I don't want to keep an isolated boat. Of course, that is also a good idea. That will be a different story then. But here I am using a number of boats, and the far end boats I am making it little darker in color. More sort of bluish color, not so very vibrant colors, because that is how it will be seen with atmospheric perspective. Anything that is far away, as the things goes farther and farther away, the color changes, and it sort of gets the color which is closer to the horizon. Whatever is the kind of horizon colors, it will somehow match to that color, right? So see, the boats, I am making the boats aligned in different directions, because if you are adding multiple elements and if all these elements are arranged in a very predictable way, it may look little boring or artificial. So have some variations. Whenever you add many boats, add some variations in the way it is aligned and the color of the boat, etc. Okay, and for the further things I am just smudging, because as the things goes away, it will go a little blurry. The edges will become a little soft, and you can smudge. And it is always a good idea to keep some vertical element, because as of now almost all the elements that we have done so far are horizontal elements. So I am adding some vertical elements, and for that I have used a liner brush. In fact, it is a Chinese calligraphy brush, but you can use a liner brush for these details, small things. This boat at the center, I am making it little warmer, little orangish, because there I am finding some sort of a play of light. Okay, the entire thing around that place is little lighter, so I am adding little warmer color, not so bluish. Okay, some more vertical elements. See, I'm looking for some dry brush works, but I think we need little bit more visible mark for the pole here. See, whenever you do this kind of vertical elements or whatever elements it is, we are trying to create more interest. In the effort of making more and more interest, you may end up overworking you may end up crowding the scene with a lot of details, and which will not be a good idea. So try to be aware of not overdoing it. Whenever you create an extra bit of an interest in your work, so be little careful. I think I already have added a lot of vertical element, lot of poles already, so I think I have to stop now. Okay, so I will not be making any more. And see, whenever you are finding my brushes moving here and there and it is not making any reasonable mark on the paper, I am just thinking, okay, I think now the right thing to do is adding figures, and I'm adding some figures for the far end. See, when you make figures at the far end, I mean in general, whenever you make figures, you have to be a little impressionistic. See, because these figures, the individual features of the figures are not important in these kind of scenes. See, I am referring to watercolor landscapes and watercolor streetscapes. So the figures don't need to have a detailed the description of their features. The overall body movement, the overall body language, if that can be captured, that is sufficient enough to create the story. Okay, here since it is a foreground element, I am using a brighter color, but usually for the figures I prefer less vibrant colors, because it is the action of the figure is more important than anything else. That is my view. Okay, so I am using a Skoda Prado number 8 brush for this. Okay, I think we are reasonably done in terms of suggesting figures. These figures will need little bit of extra details to make it even more convincing. So let us add a head, maybe a small cap for this guy. Okay, and maybe some final some touches here and there for those for tiny figures. And what else? So I'm thinking actually what to do, adding red orange color to the exposed body part. That is what I usually do for the figures. And if you are finding painting figures is difficult for you, you can check out my earlier tutorials where I focus on constructing these kind of figures in a suggestive way. Okay, so there are a lot of videos on practicing figures using different approaches. So please go through those videos and practice your figures, because if you are confident of adding figures in your work, your work will be taken to the next level. Because without figure, it doesn't create a good amount of story. So to create stories, you have to add. It is a good idea to add figures. Okay, I think we are done. Okay, so what I have to do now, let me see, let me sign it, but still I think I will add some minor touches here and there to make it as, to call it as done. Okay, so I think I had to go for some white highlights to finish it. And this white is a white Chinese white watercolor directly picked from the tube. Okay, the brand of colors that I am using is called Camel, which is an Indian brand, but you can use any I'm sorry, I think the colors that I have used so far for this is from a brand called Brustro watercolor cakes watercolor pen, and the white that I am using now is from Camel. So the white watercolor that I have used is Camel watercolor. Okay, and the brush for the details is a Chinese calligraphy brush, but you can use any rigger brush or liner brush. I think this is pretty much done. Whenever you do this white highlights, you should be very careful. It is very easy. It is pretty easy to overdo it, and you should be very much aware of overdoing it and spoiling your work. So be careful. Okay, I think we are done. We are done, and we can stop. Okay, I think I have a tendency now to overwork, but yeah, I think we are pretty much done, and we can call it as done. So I strongly believe that this was useful, this was informative, and if you are finding it informative, please do subscribe to my channel and press the bell notification. Okay, so if you have any questions or comments, as I told earlier, please write them into the comment box below. I will try to respond to your questions, and your suggestions as early as possible, as much as possible. So thank you very much for being with me, and please do practice. Okay, please do practice. You may need a number of practices to get this done convincingly. So but if you have any questions, you can always ask me. Okay, so thank you very much, and we will see you in the next video. Bye bye.